Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to know the real secret to making anyone obsessed with you, stop chasing love and start building a life so magnetic, so full of purpose that they beg to be part of it. It's not about playing games, and it's definitely not about being perfect. It's about becoming so confident, so emotionally grounded, that your presence alone makes people feel something they can't explain, but can't walk away from. Stay with me, because once you understand this shift, you'll never chase attention again. Confidence is one of the most magnetic traits a person can possess, especially when it comes to romantic dynamics. When you walk into a room knowing your worth, people take notice without you having to say a word. That kind of energy is unspoken but undeniable. It doesn't demand attention, it simply commands it by being grounded in self-respect. This is not about arrogance or playing games. It's about showing up fully aware of your value. The moment you make your validation dependent on someone else's interest, you hand over your power. Instead, cultivate a sense of inner certainty that radiates through your words, your posture, and your presence. You don't need to overcompensate to be seen. You simply need to know that you're enough. From that space, you're not chasing love, you're attracting it. One of the most common mistakes people make in relationships is mistaking effort for value. Being high value doesn't mean constantly proving yourself to someone. It's not about texting first every time, always being available, or bending over backwards to accommodate someone else's schedule. When you do that, you might feel like you're being loving or generous, but often it comes across as needy or too eager. Instead, being high value means knowing where to draw the line. It means recognizing when your energy is being taken for granted and having the strength to pull back, not out of punishment, but out of self-respect. High value is about being kind without being a pushover. It's knowing that you bring something special to the table and not being afraid to walk away if it's not appreciated. Your time, your presence, and your attention are gifts, not guarantees. Being too available can often send the wrong message. It might seem counterintuitive, but constantly making yourself accessible can lower your perceived value in someone's eyes. It doesn't mean playing hard to get or using manipulation. It means having boundaries and a full life outside of your romantic interest. When someone sees that you have passions, goals, and priorities beyond them, it builds intrigue and respect. They begin to recognize that your world doesn't revolve around them. And that's exactly what creates desire. Nobody wants to feel like they're someone's only source of happiness or purpose. Instead, they want to feel like they're adding to an already fulfilling life. The moment you start living for someone else's attention, you lose the very thing that drew them in to begin with, your individuality. A lot of people think love means doing more texts, more calls, more favors, more vulnerability, more effort. But love isn't always about doing more. It's about doing the right things at the right time, from the right place, emotionally. The energy you bring to your actions matters. If you're giving from a place of fear of losing someone, fear of not being enough, it shows. But when your actions come from a place of calm confidence, they land completely differently. You don't need to over-give to be loved. You just need to be aligned with your values and offer genuine connection without expectation. Love, given freely but not desperately, is powerful. It builds a dynamic based on mutual respect, not emotional dependency. That's what creates a sustainable, exciting connection. There is a massive difference between high standards and being difficult. Some people fear that having boundaries will scare others away. But the truth is, the right people won't be scared. They'll be drawn in. Boundaries aren't walls, they're doors with handles. They tell someone how to treat you, and more importantly, they teach you how to treat yourself. When you're clear on what you will and won't tolerate, you naturally filter out anyone who isn't on your level. You don't even have to say much. Your actions will do the talking. Canceling a date when someone repeatedly disrespects your time isn't rude, it's respectful to yourself. Saying no to something that makes you uncomfortable isn't rejection, it's self-care. And when you live this way, the people who do stay will do so with admiration, not out of convenience. Attraction isn't about being perfect. It's about being emotionally grounded. You don't need to look a certain way, wear designer clothes, or say the perfect thing. What captures someone's heart is how you make them feel. And that starts with how you feel about yourself. When you're okay, whether they text or not, call or not, show interest or not, that's real power. It says you're emotionally self-sufficient. You're not waiting for someone to complete you because you're already whole. This kind of energy changes how people see you. It shifts the dynamic from pursuit to partnership. It makes someone want to earn a place in your life rather than feeling like you're desperately trying to earn theirs. When you're centered in this way, you exude an unshakable calm that's deeply attractive. People often underestimate the power of non-reaction. When someone tries to test your limits, provoke jealousy, or pull away, your response says everything. If you react with insecurity or panic, it signals that your sense of self is fragile. But if you respond with grace, calm, and a quiet confidence, you instantly flip the script. You're showing that you're not governed by fear, you're governed by self-worth. That doesn't mean being cold or emotionless. It means choosing dignity over desperation. Emotional control isn't about hiding how you feel, it's about expressing it in a way that doesn't compromise your integrity. The way you handle difficult moments speaks louder than any romantic gesture. It's during those times that people either rise in their respect for you or realize they can take advantage of you. You don't need to be everyone's favorite to be someone's only. When you water yourself down to please everyone, you lose the very essence of what makes you unique. High-value people are polarizing at times, not because they're rude or aloof, but because they're authentic. They know that trying to appeal to every person is exhausting and ultimately fruitless. They focus instead on being the most true version of themselves. That authenticity not only attracts the right people, but it also naturally repels those who were never meant to stay, and that's a good thing. You don't want someone who likes a version of you that isn't real. You want someone who's drawn to your quirks, your standards, your truth. That level of connection is only possible when you stop trying to be everything and start being you. What makes someone go crazy for you isn't your looks, your charm, or even your availability. It's the combination of mystery and openness, strength and softness, self-respect and warmth. It's the way you balance being emotionally available while also being emotionally independent. This balance keeps people interested because it creates a sense of depth. They realize that getting to know you is a journey, not a transaction. And more importantly, they know that they can't just take your love for granted. That kind of presence is unforgettable. It creates curiosity, respect, and desire. Not because you're playing games, but because you've done the inner work to truly value yourself. You're not seeking validation from others. You're giving others the chance to experience someone rare. The most attractive thing you can do is stay grounded in who you are. Not who someone wants you to be, not who you think they'll like more, but who you are at your core. When you operate from this place, everything changes. You stop seeking and you start choosing. You stop fearing rejection and you start enjoying the process. Relationships become about connection, not validation. And when you meet someone who is truly aligned with your energy, they won't just be interested, they'll be captivated. They'll see in you what others missed because you didn't shrink to fit in. You stood tall in your worth, and that's what made you unforgettable. That's what makes someone go crazy for you, not because you're chasing them, but because you're finally living for you. People often think attraction is about having the perfect body, the most flawless face, or a carefully curated image. But what truly captivates someone is far deeper. It's the emotional experience they have when they're around you. Looks might grab attention, but feelings are what hold it. It's the way you laugh, the way you listen, the way your eyes light up when you talk about something you love. Those are the moments that linger in someone's mind long after the conversation ends. When people say they can't stop thinking about someone, it's usually not because of how they looked. It's because of how they felt in that person's presence. They remember the energy, the warmth, the spark. They remember being seen, heard, and understood. That's what makes an impression that lasts. Real connection happens in the subtleties. It's not about grand gestures or perfectly timed compliments. It's about shared glances, small touches, honest laughter. Those little emotional cues speak louder than any perfectly worded line. You could spend hours trying to say the right thing, but what leaves a mark is the feeling you create between the words. When you give someone your full attention, when you let them feel like they matter in that moment, that's unforgettable. Here's how to best protect. It doesn't matter how busy your life is. When you're with someone, be with them. Make eye contact. Be curious. Ask questions that go deeper than surface level. The connection you build in those quiet moments is what turns an ordinary interaction into a meaningful one. When you think about the people who've stayed in your memory, it's usually because they made you feel something rare. Maybe they made you feel safe. Maybe they made you laugh until you forgot your worries. Maybe they believed in you at a time you didn't believe in yourself. That's the kind of emotional imprint you want to leave. Don't chase attention, chase depth. You don't need to be constantly entertaining or flawless. What matters is being real, present, and emotionally generous. People crave connection, not perfection. In a world full of distractions, someone who makes you feel genuinely seen is a breath of fresh air. That's the person who stands out. That's the person who becomes unforgettable without trying to be. A lot of people try too hard to be impressive. They talk about their achievements, show off their talents, or try to seem mysterious by being emotionally distant. But what creates attraction isn't impressiveness, it's relatability. It's when someone feels like they can be themselves around you, when they can drop the act and just be. Vulnerability done with confidence is magnetic. When you're open about who you are without oversharing or seeking validation, you create safety. You're showing someone that it's okay to take off the mask. That permission, even if it's unspoken, is incredibly powerful. You're not trying to be better than them. You're inviting them to be real with you. That's how emotional bonds are formed. Many people underestimate the power of listening. Not just hearing the words, but listening to the tone, the pauses, the unspoken emotions between the lines. When you listen with your whole presence, people feel valued. They feel like their thoughts and feelings matter. You don't need to solve their problems or offer the perfect advice. Sometimes just saying, "That sounds really tough," is enough. It's the emotional validation that matters. The moment you show someone you truly care about their internal world, you stop being just another person in their life. You become someone they trust, someone they open up to. And in that emotional intimacy, real attraction takes root. Not superficial lust, but something that lasts. We live in a culture that often celebrates detachment as strength, but being emotionally available, while still being grounded, is far more powerful. When you express your feelings openly, it gives others permission to do the same. You become a mirror for emotional truth. You don't need to overshare or spill your heart on the first date, but expressing interest, appreciation, or even fear in a sincere and composed way creates authentic moments. That kind of openness cuts through the noise. It creates a sense of trust and connection that most people don't experience often. Emotional maturity, where you can name and navigate your feelings, is incredibly attractive. It shows that you're not afraid to show up fully, and that encourages others to do the same. Memories are built on emotion, not logic. Someone might forget what you said or what you wore, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. Whether it's excitement, peace, curiosity, or passion, those emotions get stored in the brain in powerful ways. That's why two people can go on the same kind of date, but only one walks away unforgettable. It's not about the activity, it's about the energy. So when you interact with someone, ask yourself, what emotion am I leaving them with? Am I creating a sense of joy, ease, or excitement, or am I just going through the motions? When you learn to lead with emotional intention, your relationships shift. You stop focusing on impressing and start focusing on impact. Another key piece of emotional connection is authenticity. Pretending to be what someone wants may work short term, but it erodes connection over time. People may be drawn to the image you project, but the real bond comes when they meet the real you. That includes your passions, your opinions, your weird humor, and your unique view of the world. When you express who you are without fear, it sends a powerful message. I'm not afraid of being seen. And when you're not afraid to be seen, it invites deeper levels of intimacy. You stop attracting people who want a fantasy, and you start attracting people who want you. That's when emotional connection goes from surface level to soul level. Sometimes emotional attraction is about contrast. When you can bring lightness to someone's heaviness or calm to their chaos, that balance becomes incredibly attractive. People are drawn to what brings them back into balance emotionally. That doesn't mean you have to fix or heal them. It means your presence offers something they're craving. Maybe you bring playfulness to someone who takes life too seriously. Maybe you bring warmth to someone who's used to being judged. That contrast becomes memorable. It creates a unique emotional experience that can't be replicated. And the more consistently you show up with that energy, the more they associate you with the way they want to feel. That's how emotional attraction evolves into emotional dependence, in the healthiest way. You don't need to chase to be loved, you need to connect. When you focus on crafting genuine emotional moments instead of trying to be perfect or impressive, you unlock something far more powerful. You become someone who makes others feel seen, safe, and significant. That kind of energy is rare, and people feel it immediately. It's in the way you listen, the way you speak, the way you stay present. It's not loud or flashy, but it's unforgettable. When someone walks away from time with you feeling emotionally nourished, they'll come back. Not because they have to, but because they want to. Because you've become a place of emotional refuge in a noisy, disconnected world. That's what it means to be truly unforgettable. One of the most powerful things you can do in life and love is to build a life that feels full, exciting, and deeply satisfying on your own. When your world is already rich with purpose, passion, and self-expression, you stop needing someone else to fill in the gaps. You're no longer looking for someone to complete you, you're looking for someone who complements what you've already created. That shift in mindset is everything. It means you're no longer approaching relationships from a place of lack, but from a place of abundance. It also means that anyone who steps into your life isn't your entire world. They're a beautiful addition to it. This not only makes you more attractive, but it also protects your emotional health. You stop settling, you stop clinging, you start choosing with clarity. When someone sees that you've built something meaningful, whether it's a career, a creative pursuit, deep friendships, or a strong relationship with yourself, they feel drawn to that energy. People want to be around those who inspire them. It's human nature to gravitate toward confidence, direction, and passion. When you're deeply invested in your own growth and your own joy, it shows. You move differently. You speak with more certainty. You stop waiting for life to happen and start creating it for yourself. That kind of self-leadership is incredibly compelling. It sends the message that you're not just alive, you're living. And that, more than any look or line, is what captivates people and holds their interest. People often think that in order to find love, They need to be constantly available for it. But the truth is, constantly making room for someone else, especially at the expense of your own priorities, can actually diminish your appeal. When you're always accessible, always waiting, always prioritizing someone else's schedule, you lose the energy of self-containment that sparks curiosity and respect. Having your own plans, goals, and boundaries isn't cold. It's healthy. It tells people that your life isn't on pause, waiting for approval or attention. It's already in motion, and they can either align with it or not. You're not being difficult, you're being intentional. And in that intentionality, you become someone people want to fit into their world, rather than someone who disappears into theirs. There is something irresistibly attractive about a person who has clear direction. You don't need to have everything figured out, but when you show that you have purpose, whether in your career, your hobbies, or your personal growth, it draws people in. Direction gives you an internal compass. It keeps you grounded when emotions run high. It helps you navigate relationships with discernment, not desperation. And it shows that you know who you are and where you're going. That clarity is rare and magnetic. It communicates that while love is important, it's not your sole mission. You have a vision for your life, and any partner you allow in must enhance it, not derail it. That's the mindset of someone who commands both admiration and respect. Being emotionally independent doesn't mean being closed off. It means you have the strength to support yourself emotionally, even while being open to connection. It means you don't rely on someone else to validate your feelings or fix your bad days. You know how to sit with discomfort, work through it, and come out stronger. You know how to self-soothe, reflect, and keep growing. This kind of emotional resilience is incredibly appealing. It shows maturity, it shows depth, and it builds trust. Because when someone sees that you can handle your emotions, they feel safer sharing theirs. You become a stable force, not a volatile one. You're someone they can lean on, not someone they have to rescue. When your life is filled with things that excite you, it naturally lights you up. Whether it's a hobby you love, a goal you're chasing, or a community you're part of, those passions feed your soul. And when your soul is fed, your energy becomes magnetic. People feel that joy, that purpose, that liveliness, and they want to be around it. You don't need to pretend to be happy or fake enthusiasm. It's real. It's rooted in how you actually live, and that authenticity cannot be manufactured. It makes people curious. They wonder what's going on in their life that makes them glow like that. That curiosity is where attraction begins. Because joy, confidence, and passion are contagious. There's a big difference between wanting someone and needing someone. Neediness drains connection. It puts pressure on the other person to be your everything, and that's never sustainable. Wanting someone, on the other hand, comes from a place of choice. It's when you say, I'm already whole, but I want to share my life with you. That's powerful. That's freeing. It means love becomes an expansion, not a rescue. It means your happiness doesn't hinge on someone else's behavior. And ironically, when you no longer need someone to complete you, they're more likely to want to stay because they feel chosen, not obligated, desired, not depended on. And that dynamic creates space for real, healthy love to grow. When you're not overly available, it creates space for mutual pursuit. It's no longer about one person constantly chasing while the other pulls away. Instead, it becomes about meeting each other in the middle. When you have a full life, you're not anxiously waiting for someone to call or text. You're living your day, and when they reach out, it's a pleasant addition, not a lifeline. This keeps the energy balanced. It allows both people to stay in their power rather than falling into unhealthy dynamics. You're not playing hard to get, you are hard to get because your life is full, your standards are high, and your time is precious. That creates desire, that creates respect, and it invites the right kind of energy in. You should never feel the need to shrink your goals, your voice, or your ambition to make someone else feel more comfortable. The right person will admire the fire in you, not fear it. They'll want to understand your passions and support your growth, not compete with it. When you stay true to your path, you naturally attract someone who values that path, someone who sees your strength and celebrates it. You don't have to dim your light to be loved. You just need to shine in the right direction. When you show up fully, with all your flaws and brilliance, you give others permission to do the same. And in that mutual freedom, real connection thrives. The strongest relationships are built not on dependence, but on two individuals walking side by side, not dragging each other along. Living a life that excites you doesn't just attract others, it transforms you. You wake up more inspired, you start making better choices, you stop tolerating what drains you and start prioritizing what energizes you. Your standards rise, not from arrogance, but from alignment. You begin to recognize your own worth, and that changes the way you love, the way you speak,